In this video, I'll be doing the jetting in my Kx500 keihin carburetor. So I've already checked the jetting because I had fuel coming out of the bottom of my carburetor bowl. But really what that is that's the overflow tube. There's a tube that goes all the way to the top, and when the fuel level in this bowl gets too high, it comes out the overflow, kind of like a sink has an overflow. So it just drains out the bottom. It was a slow leak. I put a couple scratches on the bottom of this bowl because I took something and I was tapping on the bottom because I thought maybe the float was sticking. That can happen. But what really happened was like a little piece of plastic or something got stuck in between the needle and the seat. We'll take it apart and we'll show you. But there's supposed to be a long filter inside the tank. A lot of people also put an inline filter, but I did buy a small little pancake type filter, and I'm going to try that, but most of the filters are kind of long and I don't have a whole lot of room, a lot of straight length to put a filter in, so we'll see what happens. But I shouldn't have too many problems. I don't know why that little piece of plastic got caught in there. Anyway, whenever I had it apart last time, I checked the jetting, and I did buy a rebuild kit that came with needles, not needles, one needle, in the factory jet sizes, but I already had a different carburetor kit with different jet sizes. So I followed the FMF jet chart, just whatever bike you have, if it can accept FMF pipes like this. I've got a front and a rear FMF pipe on this bike. So it says that I'm supposed to be on the stock needle on the third clip. I'm supposed to be at a 52 idle jet, but this one's at a 58. And I'm supposed to be at a 165 to 168 main jet, and this one's at a 162 main jet. And the 162 main jet is stock. So I'm at a stock main jet. I don't know where the clip position is, and I don't know what needle is in here. So I do know that the idle jet has been bumped up, and I'm going to take the idle jet back to factory. So first off, I turned the fuel off. I don't have any clamps on this hose. I probably will eventually, but because it does fit just a little bit loose. Like I said, I'm going to come up with something for the fuel filter. And that's one reason why I love these two strokes. They're just so simple. And I'm going to be able to get this carburetor completely out in a matter of moments. For this one, I put a zip tie on. The downside is you have to replace it every time you remove it, but because I did get it on there pretty tight. I could pull it off, but if it was on the dirt, maybe I would keep a normal clamp on it, but I don't think it's gonna see enough aggression on the street to overwhelm a fat zip tie like this. I mean, I got monster man mittens, so I'm able to pull it off. But so pull that down and then unscrew. Get you a better view here. Unscrew this carburetor slide and be kind of careful with this. I'm replacing the needle, but typically you want to be really careful to not bend the needle here. And also, see, that kind of barely came out like that, but I can pop that. We got it completely off here, and I need to replace these bottom screws. I don't know why my carburetor kit did not come with new bottom screws, but I've got my screw extractor pliers here, so I'm gonna give all of these just a little start. These are always difficult to get off because they're steel screws and aluminum, and they got these little lock washers on them, and you have to have the perfect size Phillips. But also I've got a nice clean sheet down here below, so I'm gonna make sure that everything stays clean. But once you get these screws off, you want to make sure that this gasket in between here, if you have a new one, replace it. A lot of times it gets swollen. And this right here is the main jet, and the idle jet is down in there. So first we're going to take out the idle jet right here. Let's see. And there was a little piece of plastic in between this needle and, see, this is the bobber right here. This is the float bowl. So this is what it normally sits like, and then the fuel gets shut off whenever that gets to a certain height. So I had something stuck in here, and it was allowing fuel to keep on coming out even though that was all the way fully shut, kind of like a toilet. So this one is a '58, and I'm putting a brand new 52 back in it. And it doesn't take excessive torque or anything. Don't put it in there stupid tight. Just tighten it down whenever it stops. Give it a little, all right, just in case there was some junk on my screwdriver. All right, now for the main jet. This one was a 162, and we're gonna put in a 168. We're all done on this part. So that's the overflow tube right there. Whenever the fuel gets too high, it goes through that tube and then out that little nipple in the bottom. So that one has to get, I got it backwards right there. That one has to tuck in right there. Now I'm gonna screw this all the way back down, all four corners. And then I'm gonna snug them down with the pliers as well, but not excessively tight, just because I don't really want to strip out these screw heads. Go back and right there, snug that. And the last one right here. All right, carburetor's done. Now we got to look at this needle, and that's inside this slide. So it's going to be difficult to show you this. I'm probably not going to be able to. I got to pull the spring back. It's got a retainer, that plastic retainer, and then almost I can get it with my hands. Oh, there we go. Got it. Careful not to fling the spring. Make sure you got the retainer. Now we got to unbolt the top of that, but let's see if these fit. That's what I got in my hand right now. That's a pretty tight fit. So there's a little nut in there. Where's my flathead? So I busted it loose a little bit. Now I'm going to put my flathead in that slot and then kind of spin it out. And now I'm going to take a look at the clip position. And I don't know what that means. It's got blue on the top. It's probably correct. It's probably factory, but I got a new one anyway. And I did come with a clip, but I don't have the extra clip with me right now, so the needles do look, I mean, the profile at the bottom is what matters. I mean, as far as I can tell, they're correct, but they're the same. I already got it all the way out, so I'm gonna try to snap this clip off without losing it. And then I'm gonna put it back in the middle position on this new needle. There we are. And now I'm gonna drop it back in the slide. Screw this fitting back in. I should really have a socket for this. It's tricky to start because it's recessed. Maybe I'll go get a socket. I'll tell you in a second. Oh man, that was so close. All right, there we go. See, if you didn't screw it up while you're using the wrong tools and you also saved time, then that's called a shortcut. Don't mind the plier noises. All right, now I'm gonna get my spring. I probably cannot do this part by hand. I should have brought needle nose pliers. Now I gotta get this retainer all the way to the bottom to make sure that cable doesn't pop out. It's hanging up. There we are. Kind of help it down with the spring, hopefully. All right, it's all the way down in there and seated now. Now I gotta carefully, oh, one more thing. There's a line inside that retainer. You gotta get that, I almost forgot. You gotta get that line lined up. we are, all the way fully seated now. Been a while since I've done this. Now, I could probably get away with putting this in first. Now we'll see if it fits. I can pop this back here without hurting anything. Get this started straight. There we are. And let's get this boot on. There we are. Screw it down. Nice and tight so it doesn't slide off. That's snug. I'm gonna get my zip tie here and I'm gonna start it by twirling it to give it a little help to get me over. Are. Just gotta trim that and put my hose back on, turn my fuel back on, and as soon as I trim this, I'm done. That was re-jetting my Kx500 carburetor. Yes, I hooked up this hose too, trimmed this. We'll let you hear it. It's the first time I started it on this jetting. I'm not going to pull the choke. These are just prime cranks. Alright, I'm going to go this time. FMF jetted.